Sports. Today, our Michigan Tech Huskies are taking our Michigan Tech League of Legends team is taking on Marquette University in the Playfly League. I'm Daniel, also known as Pinery, and here
I'm
with me.
Aiden, known as Super Electronic, and we hope we've got a pretty good match cooked up for you guys today. Our League of Legends team looking for what I believe is their third win in the row. We are 4-1 currently after only one loss to Ohio State University. But
Yeah, these guys have been on fire this year.
yeah, they've been doing really well recently, especially the last couple of weeks. Just seeing a lot of those issues to be pointed out even at the start of the season. A lot of them coming up, gaps being plugged, holes being fixed, stuff like that. So getting right into the schedule for this week for you guys. So first of all, on Friday, our Super Smash Bros. Ultimate team took on Malone University. Nice little 2-0 for us there, continuing our hot streak of dominance. And of course, the fuel only fanned the flames of the fire, I'd say, as we took a 3-0 home against Mankato University. Probably butchering that name, but you know what? Whatever. Today, Monday, our League of Legends team is taking on the University of Marquette. Like we said, hunting for our third, or I think fourth win now in a row. Hoping to take it up to a 5-1 for our League of Legends team. Should be a good game for you guys today. Tuesday, our Rocket League team will be versing Rochester University of Technology, so make sure you tune in for that. Not to be left out, Overwatch 2 on Wednesday will be taking on the University of Cincinnati. And of course, on Thursday, your Valorant team is going to be taking on the University of Toronto, Mississauga. So looking for our second win there, very close loss last week, but hopefully going to do everything we can to get at least one more win of the season underneath our belts. So,
yep, and we've got a great group of people here. Some of the players that you all know and love, the MTU team.
yeah, it's the same five that we've seen throughout the this entire season so far. So of course your captain, as your bottom laner is going to be Craftinator or Kent. Your mid laner, Sunless, Echo. You have our top laner, everybody's favorite Mordekaiser player, Music Tabs or Griffin. Your jungler for today, as always, is going to be Nugtart or Brandon, and your support, last but not least, is Erica or Kran.
Yeah, and over on the enemy team, and we have Mr. Puppeter, Ryan. We have Elko Balo, 18. Uh, Flacco Loop, Sammy. Reagan, David. Rick the Stig, Eric. And TKD Ninja 1313. I wish I could give you a little bit more breakdown on these guys, but I haven't watched their VOD, so I couldn't tell you as much as I wish I could.
Yeah, that's what separates us from the actual League of Legends team, because I know they've spent the last week absolutely studying the heck out of these guys. Pretty good squad, looking at their ranks, stuff like that. Don't know them exactly, but should be quite a challenge for Huskies today. But I've no doubt that we will be able to bring them to heel within the next couple of hours. So,
Yeah, and definitely bringing back our streak that we've got going on. Like the snowball effects. Once you get going, you get going. Let's
yeah.
get into some of the map picks and bans here.
Yeah, so straight into the map picks and bans here. Looks like we already have 3 bans from each team. Looks like Michigan Tech will be starting on the red team this time. So it looks like Marquette banning Jinx, Yanara, and Yone, as well as Michigan Tech banning Braum, Riven, and Callista. Marquette going in with that first pick of Kaylee. So get some info on you guys in just a little bit about how exactly that's going to affect everybody's team comp. So first of all, we have MU banning Jinx. That ban, pretty good ban for them. Jinx, known to be like, a good late game scaler, oftentimes playing in that bottom lane. She can be kind of a hyper carry. That, is something that Michigan Tech needs to watch out for. I do believe, was it Ohio State that played Jinx and kind of shut us down during one of our games? Very good at fighting. And so Marquette, just banning that Jinx because they want to prevent that, very high scaling character that's able to, take a lot of those extended fights, potentially looking to limit our late game scaling, because that is something that we have been good at, is this really heavy aggressive scale into the late game. Yeah, also Marquette banning Yunara. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yunara? Okay. Ban Yunara, which is going to be a pretty good ban for them. Just again, wanting to prevent a lot of that heavy brawly comp stuff like that. However, the thing I want to point out with Marquette's bans here is a Yone ban. That is something that Echo really likes playing in that mid lane. We saw him on Yone last week. And that was where he kind of was just taking all of his fights and winning all of them. Was where we saw some of those really important plays. The one that stands out in my mind, map 1, when Michigan Tech was able to basically do their map defining play where Sunless took a 2v1 in bot lane, allowed for us to take a 4v3 in top lane. That was because of that fighting power of Yone. We saw it get a lot of value with that ability to, go in for a brawl and then retract because of his like pseudo teleport thing that lets him retreat to where he had come from. He was getting a ton of value out of that ability. And so Marquette just potentially being a little bit nervous about what can happen if he really does get on a hot streak, and just wanted to make sure that that doesn't come to fruition. And then we have Michigan Tech starting off with a Braum ban, which is pretty interesting considering that that is a character that we have played a decent bit.
Yeah, though he is like an all-around strong character. He's playing that supporting role, definitely like more of a tank, and he's gonna like prevent some of that like pushes there. Um, they're probably just trying to like take out some of these heavy hitters that are just gonna absorb all that damage. They probably want to play a little faster game, get a little bit more damage quick, try and move it up a little bit because Michigan Tech, if we get late game, like if we get rolling, you can't
Yeah,
stop us.
yeah, definitely. That's why I think it's interesting that we decided to ban Into the Braum because that was a character that we saw Erica playing last week, and actually I feel like had a lot of success on that Braum. A lot of the reason that we were able to dominate bot lane so hard last week, I feel like, was because she was getting really good value out of his shield, stuff like that. There were multiple times where I thought that Kraft was dead to rights, and she would come in there just soaking up a ton of damage, keeping us alive, turn what looks like our bottom lane getting wiped into us, wiping them bot lane with no casualties, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, I totally get it from that perspective, but we also have to think about the other team's
Yeah.
perspective too, because the other team, they could have somebody who's just as good as Erica, who's coming in there with Braum and absolutely making our lives miserable.
Yeah, which is why, yeah, they definitely have watched the VODs
Yeah.
if they're banning that for a reason. So it looks like next ban from Michigan Tech was Riven here, which is a, top laner, late game scaler, really good for, skirmish, mobility heavy dive comps. One of those things that we just want to potentially, free up that presence in the mid lane. Maybe we've seen that they have players who are good on Riven, just want to make sure that Music Tabs isn't versing something that's going to be out of his depth up in that, as well as our ban onto Callista, who is another who is a bot laner, good early game scaling with another one of those characters that is a good aggressive skirmish heavy comps. And so it feels like Michigan Tech has picked up on the fact that Marquette maybe wants to fight a little bit more aggressively like that. We're just trying to ban out into that. Looks like Marquette's ban is going to be Ornn, which is an agent that we have seen played. I don't believe it was on our side. I believe it was last week that the people MT was versing were playing Ornn and kind of honestly feeding us in that top lane. But Michigan Tech realizing that Marquette is maybe a little bit more well versed of a team than who we were versing last week, not wanting to give another one of those top laners we want to ban to make sure that Music Tabs doesn't have too hard. Oh no, sorry, we didn't ban it. Marquette banned it. So them potentially worried about Music Tabs running that in the top lane there. He's pretty good tank stuff like that. So just making sure that doesn't come to fruition. And then their last ban is going to be Kled, who is from the side of Marquette here. Good mid to late game scaler, another top laner. So feels like Marquette has picked up on how good Music Tabs can be when he gets, going in different agents in that top lane and really wants to. This ban targets basically stuff in the top lane. They want to make sure that Music Tabs doesn't really have a wide pool of characters to pick from, and they also want to ban a lot of characters or champions that are, late game scalers, because as we've talked about, that is going to be our strong suit. Looks like Michigan Tech going to be banning Viego, or Viego. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but late game jungler who is once again skirmish heavy character. So that kind of just seems what Michigan Tech is fighting into here, wanting to ban out all of the skirmish heavy agents or champions, sorry, and then Nocturne going to be our last ban, who is another jungler, good mid to late game scaling with dive and pressure comp stuff like that. So potentially just want to take that out of the game to make sure that Nug doesn't get something that's he can't really meet his match in. So
Yeah, and are we gonna go into the picks here for what we got going
yes,
on? So over on the MTU side,
yeah.
or
So
or
we can start with Marquette
oh
because
yeah, sorry,
that's blue team.
of course, of
So
course.
they're starting off with a Kale pick, or Kylie, not sure exactly how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Very strong late game.
yeah, exactly. And then another one of those top laners. You could play mid lane if necessary, and you need that flexibility there, which is one of the really positive picks of picking that character. Um, Yeah, and they're gonna protect that carry. Their hybrid damage and invulnerability is their ultimate, which is pretty impressive and pretty scary.
Yeah, and also Michigan Tech wanting to watch out for that spike like really late into the game. So if we do decide to go for a late game scale comp, just making sure that, or sorry, this giving Marquette kind of some breathing room where this first pick at least is somebody that they can rely on to not be weaker in that late game. Also, looks like Marquette also picking into Alistair, who most likely for their support, kind of just a strong all around character, pretty good tankiness and stuff like that. So just, strong character all around. The third pick from them is going to be Kasai, who is we saw last game or last week we did a good bot laner, strong mid to late game again with good hybrid damage, good skirmish, follow up, engage stuff like that. So looks like so far they're picking into kind of just a skirmish comp with a lot of good brawling potential. We'll get the word there in a little bit on that. Their jungler or potentially top lane looks like going to be Poppy from Marquette. Good, another mid game to late game power spike character. Good, looks like anti-dash, frontline peel, engage denial from what little information that we can get from what we're looking at right here. So, just another good fighting character. And their last pick is going to be the Scion, which is another mid to late game scaler. So just feels like a lot of mid to late game scaling coming out from them there. Now I'll move you on to Michigan Tech. First pick is going to be Pantheon. That is somebody that we have seen them pick a lot.
Yeah, and Pantheon they come out really early. Like they're very strong early character. That jungle support, like as you guys have seen previously, it's really nice to have them on the team because we can get that ball rolling because that momentum just really helps carry it. It keeps the team uplifted and it just helps us put on that pressure early on.
Yeah, I do believe that is something that we've typically seen Nug play in the past. Really good, especially with the Pantheon ult, just being able to basically go anywhere on the map with that. If I'm thinking of the right character, production, am I thinking of the right character? Pantheon ult? Okay, yes, I am thinking of the right character. So giving us that kind of maneuverability on the map when we have our ult up, just being able to, take any fight. Like, let's say we're caught out bottom lane, we have a 3v2, their jungler rotated down, we didn't have vision on it. If we have Pantheon ult up, we can pretty quickly come down there and turn that into a 3v3 with the support of that ultimate, stuff like that.
Yeah, it really helps with these team engagements and
Yeah.
defensive purposes.
Yeah, it looks like Rel's going to be the second pick for Michigan Tech. Another kind of just like strong all-around character, most likely going to be on support.
Yeah, and this is where we bring in our anti-mobility. We really want to, disrupt some of these team fights. That anti-dash utility is just, it's nice to have at least one character running that because we want to slow the other team down and be able to reduce the fast actions of some of these quick attackers who have high mobility.
Yeah, so that'll most likely be on Erica there. Looks like Corky is going to be our next pick for Michigan Tech. Good, mid to late game champ with, just kind of a good mixed bag all around,
Yeah,
very
and
strong.
a really like high positive point of like running Corky is you've got that like long range damage.
Yeah, good
Um,
poke.
yeah, exactly. Um, it's just a nice thing to have. Keep him at distance, keep him at bay. Good.
Yeah, definitely there. Especially we also have the Wukong pick for potentially top lane. A little bit hard to tell exactly, but Wukong jungle. Okay, so then Pantheon potentially on top lane then
Yeah, and then
instead.
Pantheon like with Corky, if they're running together, we've got the poke from Corky, and then we've got the follow up, and they can do a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll probably be if he's playing Corky, is it going to be a Corky bot lane then, and Sunless is going to be playing Azir in mid? Because we have seen Azir, one of those rare on meta picks that we see come out from Sunless in the mid lane. We talked, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about the different changes that he received throughout the patches, being a little bit weaker early game and stronger late game. And we did see Michigan Tech bring that to fruition, have good luck with that. And so looks like it will be our Corky and Rel playing together. So I'm assuming, yeah, Erica
Oh,
on
okay.
support, I'm assuming on Rel and stuff like that. So just a pretty good overall pick. Um, So yeah, MU basically just good front to back, good scaling team fight and a lot of late game assurance. So not directly built solely for fighting in late game, still have like early game potential there, but just having really strong, team fight prowess all around. Whereas MTU is kind of leaning more into that. Uh, all around comp, kind of like a mixed bag. Like a lot of we've picked into a lot of champs that have good like early game scaling, stuff like that. But coming out that a zero pick for our last pick is going to be somebody we're going to see most of the value in that mid to late game out of. So kind of just saying we believe in ourselves, we believe in our ability to take these team fights. We're going to have pretty decent presence on the field no matter where we are in the state of the game. The only thing I would watch out for MTU here is Marquette does have a stronger late game comp, is what I would say, just looking at what we can see with the picks here. And so I'm going to look for Michigan Tech and getting some of those early advantages. And so when I would like to see Michigan Tech like up a dragon by the time we get into like 15-20 minute mark. I want to see us getting a lot of those early buffs because we have the toolkit, we have the champions that are going to allow us to win a lot of those early skirmishes. But if we're kind of tied neck and neck by the time that 15-20 minute mark comes around, that is when I will start to get worried because we don't really have the fighting power if it comes down to just a raw 5v5 40 minutes into the game or something like
Yeah,
that.
and taking a step back from esports, the MTU hockey team has won their first two home games. I believe it was against the Ferris State Bulldogs. It was a wonderful matchup. I They had two games at home, one Friday, one Saturday. It was great if you guys were able to come out and watch. And on top of the hockey team, the football team, they have had the Miners Cup recently, and that was one heck of a game. I believe it was against NMU, and it was a fun one to watch. MTU did some good work out there. I think we scored either in the 40s or the 50s. It was a fun game. Definitely recommend if the hockey team or the MTU football team is out and about this year, definitely stop in and give them a watch.
Yeah, I wish that I had gone to the football game, but that would have required me leaving my dorm room, and so unfortunately it was out of the question.
Oh,
But
yeah. I mean, it's getting a little chilly up here now.
yeah,
Leaves are all falling, and yeah, it's getting
yeah.
cold.
We'll be getting right into the action. Just a couple of seconds here, guys. Looks like spectator delay has finished winding down. Just waiting for that in-game client to load up. And we'll be getting you guys in right away.
Yeah, I mean, with it being so cold, it's so nice to have like a cozy place to stay. Um, and so if you guys are looking for a place to stay, definitely recommend that if you're a tech student, you
It's fine. It's fine.
uh,
Homeforrent.com is what you're
homeforrent.com.
looking for.
That's what I'm looking for.
We have a lot of different places here on campus to stay. I know that for me, being a second year going into my third year at Tech, it has taken a little bit to kind of figure out I'm not going to be in the dorms next year. Where the heck do I go
Exactly.
for that kind of stuff? And so, if you are a student who is looking for something like that, we do recommend looking for that because they have places that are close to campus.
And now is the best time. So a lot of these things get all signed and filled out in October. That's usually when most of these leases get started. They start in May, but everybody fills them out in October, and you get set in your houses.
Yeah, looks like we'll be swapping you guys right over here. Getting into the game here, like we said, Michigan Tech on the top there. We are in the red team. So getting into the action here. It's been a week since we've been able to cast some League of Legends, so I am excited. Let's get into this.
Yeah, and it looks like both the teams are traveling as a group down to get some of that control on their lanes.
Yeah, unfortunately, the internet not exactly cooperating with Michigan Tech here. Looks like, yeah, just a little bit of delay there, just everybody taking their sweet time. Looks like this is interesting because both teams have tried to go for an early invade, and neither of them are on the right side of the map to hit the other team. So for those unfamiliar, when all 5 people group up at the start of the game like this, that's what's called an invade. Before minions spawn, they're basically looking to hopefully isolate somebody somewhere, but it's not exactly working out because both teams went for it. And so you can see Michigan Tech there, all 5 of them grouped up bottom mid, didn't see any presence. That tips them off, hey, the other team's probably going for an invade as well. And so they channel back to base and just go to resume their positions. I am a little bit worried, though, because if you do look, all of Marquette is still sticking together, except for their, I can't really tell here. It looks like top laner.
Yeah,
Who
they're
is going
breaking
to
off a
resume his
little bit,
position.
and they're currently MTU is spread out, trying to get more information, get some visuals on them. And it looks like MTU is going to meet them up in the middle. Um, and there's going to be a little bit of fighting going on.
Yeah. So yeah, both teams just opting to basically bide their time right now. Um, Not exactly going for anything big. Not too bad, I'd say. I'm just glad that Marquette decided to split up their invade because I was a little bit worried when Michigan Tech kind of, split off from that. But
Yeah, because what could have happened if they just pushed together as a team and didn't back off at all or split up?
yeah, what would have happened was basically we ended our invade earlier. We saw everybody except our ADC and our support channel back to base, go to resume their like usual positions on the map. But Marquette waited a lot longer to go and do that, and so if our top laner had gotten to that position too early, and this is okay.
Oh,
And as
wow.
I'm providing my analytics, it looks like we have gotten a kill. I'm not exactly sure what happened in the top lane there. It looks like the the top laner there for the side of Marquette, just unable to back away in time. I'm not exactly familiar with how this agent or this champ's abilities work. It looks like there was some sort of revive mechanic when he got brought down to 0 HP. I can ask production for a little bit of backup
Yeah,
on that.
Scion does have a revive ability when he goes down. What happened there was that Scion underestimated the power of Pantheon level 2.
Yeah, so definitely something to watch out for, I guess. There, it was you saw them both going for basically like that poke damage, a little bit of poking and prodding there, and then he was just unable to get a good CC from music tabs in the top lane there, keeping him locked down. But yeah, just a little bit of an early mistake there for the side of Marquette. So pretty interesting, especially considering that Scion is supposed to be a tank. But again, this is what we were talking about. Michigan Tech's composition built a little bit more towards early game, and so this isn't exactly surprising. I would have thought Marquette plays a little bit more cautious, considering that they're all League of Legends players. They should know what's going on, but interesting little fight in the bottom lane here. Good damage there from Kraft. Probably, yeah, it looks like Marquette just going to back off to the safety of their tower, though, not exactly wanting to go for anything too aggressive. We do see Scion there in the top lane with that level advantage against Music Tabs, but not exactly the health advantage. So Music Tabs just going to retreat to the safety of that tower a little bit. It appears that this top laner might be a Scion one trick because his name in client is currently Scion Go Rar. So
That's always fun. People who like to definitely like they get to really skilled at one character. It does kind of close off some of their possibilities, but
yeah.
it opens it up in general with some special skills and abilities, and you get timings and
Yeah, you just know a character really deeply, though. Although I guess not well enough to not engage the level 2 Pantheon in the top lane there.
well,
But
even if you're a pro, we all make mistakes.
yeah, that's true. Michigan Tech, a little bit of a health advantage here in that bot lane. A little bit of poke and prod also going on in the mid lane there. The mid laner for the side of Marquette, a little bit lower there. I forget exactly what the name is for that guy. Who is playing? Is it Kale?
Yes,
Kaylee?
Kale is in the mid lane.
Yes, Kale is in the mid lane. So, like we said, none of these character champs I'm completely familiar with what they do. What I am familiar with, though, is Music Tabs engaging in the top lane here. Tail we see every single time. Looks like Scion going to have the wherewithal to actually back off this time. Yeah, playing around the safety of those towers does not want to give up the minions there. Wants to make sure that he takes those out.
Yep,
But
and a dragon has spawned.
yeah, so first dragon is on the field. No team looking to group up for that dragon yet. We do see here both junglers rotating down into this bottom lane here. So this is going to be a 3v3 flash use from Mr. Pupper there. So getting that out early, good for Michigan Tech. Trying to be brought down to half HP, but a good knock up on Captain Jade there from Craftinator. Everybody from Marquette basically just running here. It's going to be a good dive there from Craft onto the Kasai for the side of Marquette. The rest of them just trying to back off now, go retreat to the safety of those towers. And that is going to be a pretty interesting first fight there from the side of them. I also want to point out, so yeah, I can't tell if somebody else died as well. Was that top lane? Did we get the
Yes,
kill in
the
the top
Scion
lane?
top also died.
Yeah, because we have secured Feat of Warfare now with us obtaining the first 3 kills in the game. And so either just needing first tower or first 3 objectives for us to get the boots buff and be able to have that for the rest of the game. So also sum this again with this good poke and prod here in the middle lane here. Need to refresh myself on exactly what characters are in different spots. It looks like Kasai was the bottom lane there for the side of Marquette, and then the Alistair in the support for in that bottom lane there. So yeah, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Just you know me, good at yelling really loudly, bad at knowing what the heck is going on.
Yeah, well, Michigan Tech is definitely, they've had a lot more map control this game. Definitely with the 3 kills and just being able to keep them at bay and keep them back. Oh, wow.
There
and
comes
you've got
Pantheon, just deciding, screw it, you're not touching my tower. Good poke damage here, and that miss from Scion, not exactly sure what he was aiming for there, potentially getting offended by the color of the grass, but the jungler rotating in from Marquette here to try and gank this top lane here. Dash the wrong way from Big Tabs, trying to retreat to the safety of that tower here, going to be caught in that stun from the jungler there, or Scion on the side of Marquette. So potentially looking for a tower dive here, but Poppy and Scion are low, and
that's
that
gonna be
that is
Michigan's
going to be the
first,
kill. Yeah, so Music Tab is going to be their tower dive for the side of Marquette, going to be working out. So I don't exactly blame our Pantheon there. I think you should have tried to retreat a little bit earlier as soon as you saw that jungler rotating out, but I think that was just a lack of vision, just not having the words, or that information early enough to realize that 2v1 was coming in. Looks like it will be Michigan Tech getting
the first dragon.
Yeah, first dragon here, though. So that is going to be pretty important. That is going to be the Chemtech Drake. So I believe Chemtech Drake is resistance to CCs, am I correct? Or just like you spend less time in
Yeah, so getting those
stuff?
Chemtech dragons will give you what's called tenacity, where basically
Yes,
it
that's
reduces
what I was looking for.
the amount of time you spend crowd control by a percentage. It also
Yeah,
gives
and
additional heal and
tenacity is
shield power.
tenacity is something we here have as MTU students.
True.
Hashtag tenacity has been a common theme in our university.
Yeah, so a little bit fitting there. Then we were able to take that first one there, and that is also going to be, I can't tell at the top what that other objective that we've secured is next to the tower on the top there.
Currently, looks like we're going for Void Grubs.
Yeah, so we're trying to get that, a little bit of a fight here, and that guy just got
It's going to be the Poppy ult coming down onto our Wukong, sending him flying away.
Nug taking a trip across the map
looking
there.
good for
Music
Music
Tab
Tab.
is going to be slain as well there. So good Poppy ult there. It's going to give blue team the ability to take those Void Grubs. Good use of that ultimate. However, it is going to be our mid lane and jungle potentially wanting to dive onto us here. So Khalil going to be very low. It is a 3v2 though against us. Nug going to be brought down to low. That is going to be our jungler going down, and now Sunless stuck in a 3v1. He has 2 incredibly weak enemies, but is he going to be able to get any of them? The flash used, and it is going to be the snipe there. So unable to take any of those kills there. That was a good play from Marquette, all off the back of that Poppy ultimate, just completely isolating our jungle, allowing our top lane to get taken down, and then our mid laner as well. So I don't blame Michigan Tech going for that 3v3, but Marquette also now with the Void Grubs. So potentially a little bit worrying, considering we are now down on kills, as well as are losing that gold lead by about 1.5k, but not the end of the world. So
So where does this gold league really like bring us? As somebody who doesn't play League of Legends much, how does the gold lead affect us?
Yeah, so as somebody who also doesn't play League of Legends, how it's been explained to me is every single person has different items that they can buy in a shop, and those items are going to craft into better items, and what items they decide to buy are basically going to determine what type of build they are targeting as they get later into the game.
So you could build more of a defensive character to kind of be a little more beefy and take more damage, or one with like higher damage.
Yeah,
and
potentially higher
weapons.
damage. Maybe you have higher resist to magic power. Maybe you have, some amount of true damage so that you're bypassing all of their resistances, stuff like that. And so every character is going to have their own gold they collect from the monsters and stuff that they're killing, or by like completing objectives around the map, turret plating, stuff like that. And then the gold lead is just the accumulation of how much gold each team has collected. And so, having 1 or 2k more gold than the other teams, like, you're a little bit ahead in that gold lead, maybe 4 or 5k, so you're more substantially ahead, because if you're the first team to build into like some final item that you're targeting, like the accumulation of all the smaller items that you've bought, that can be a pretty substantial
Yeah.
lead. And it doesn't matter as much. If we get 45 minutes into the game and one team is like leading by 15K, it doesn't really matter as much because, you know, everybody's pretty much bought all the items they're going to buy
Okay.
for the game. But earlier on in the game, it can be a good indication of how each team is doing. So
Yeah,
right now,
that's,
I would say Michigan Tech is a little bit behind.
That's good to know. I mean, like, it also kind of gives you perspective on League of Legends. Like, these games are ever changing. Like, you can have the same comp, but it might not ever be the same game because of all these specific things.
Yeah, so a little bit of a brawl here with the jungle. We're going to see our mid lane potentially rotating down. It looks like we want to do something to kill that Poppy on the side of Marquette, but you can see some of this rotating back up there, seeing that that Khalil there was a little bit more isolated, potentially coming down to help the jungle, wanting to turn it into a 2v2, but when she realizes that our jungler is rotating back up, just retreating back into the safety of the towers there. So that is going to be pretty interesting here. Good damage from our Pantheon onto their Scion. Not exactly sure what that use of that ability was there. We did get knocked up and taken down for about a third of his hit points there, which is going to force a channel out of their Scion. So he's going to lose out on this minion XP unless he can... Okay, no, it looks like he will be TPing back. And I also do... Keep your eyes on the... You guys can't see the mini-map, but the jungler for Marquette is also very close here. And so if Music Tabs does overextend a little bit, that jungler is in range to come up and assist. Considering that our jungler, our Wukong, is, you know, more towards the bottom side of that map, potentially looking to reinforce our bottom lane and support. So pretty interesting here. Their jungler is far enough away that if we had the vision... Okay, no, never mind. They're rotating back into that bottom lane there. So we're safe to go for these 1v1s in the top lane. Dragon going to be spawning in.
And the second dragon has spawned.
Yeah, Music Tabs with a little bit of damage there. We do have that XP lead, that level lead in the top lane. A little bit, but this is just Michigan Tech wanting to secure this dragon. We do see Marquette rotating in, though. 4 of them rotating in now. Poppy potentially wanting to steal the dragon, ulting onto our jungler once again. It's going to be knocking Luke. Yes, and that is going to be
Wow,
Blue Team stealing the mountain trait from Michigan Tech. There's also going to be Kasai killing the Rel for Michigan Tech. So that's going to be 2 kills secured for the side of Marquette. Our Revere also going to be going down another kill onto our Wukong. And this is Marquette with some domination coming out over the fight on the second dragon here. You can see Kraft just not wanting to engage low as he is. This is also, I mean, Music Tabs does have kind of an opportunity in the top lane here, close to that Pantheon ult. But Sion, as soon as he detects any sort of aggression, probably just going to be retreating back to the safety of that tower, not wanting to waste whatever advantage that Marquette has channeled up for themselves here.
I mean, that play of itself has been pretty game-altering. Like, you just lost 3 people and a dragon.
Yeah. So not exactly ideal for the side of Michigan Tech. I didn't see that much of how the team fight was going, so it looked like it was just off the back of the Poppy ultimate again. But actually, good damage here from our Pantheon onto the Scion. He's going to be left with a sliver of hit points. So close to that Pantheon ult. Could he potentially go for a... Oh, and a nice snipe. A good kill from the Pantheon to kill that Scion. Just making sure that he does stay down. So that is going to be giving us another kill. I am a little bit worried because, okay, it does have the resurrection ability, but not going to be able to find anything out of it. So going to be taken down for finality here, brought back to the respawn board for the next 15 seconds. Production, you mind giving us a little bit of heads up on what that Mountain Drake is going to mean for the side of Marquette?
Yeah, so that Mountain Drake is going to be giving extra armor and magic resistance, meaning that especially their Scion and their Alistar, so their their top end support are going to be taking a lot less damage because it is percentage based, more armor and magic resist. So the more you have, the more you get.
So not exactly the best look for our Huskies there. Looks like we'd also missed it. It is going to be Inferno Soul for the soul of the game. So we'll get more into the explanation for that as we grow closer. Marquette now with a slightly over 3K gold league. We have gold lead, I should say. We have brought it back a tiny bit. I believe it was 4K at some point off that kill in the top lane that we secured. But still, Marquette with a little bit of an advantage over our Huskies right now. So we also saw that was that Rift Herald spawning in?
Yes.
Yeah, so Rift Herald spawning in there. So whatever, that's going to be the next point of contention here. Whatever team manages to get that will get the ability to summon Rift Herald, potentially, taking down one of those towers. It's important for both teams. Especially for Michigan Tech, because if we do manage to kill that Rift Herald, we will be able to get, I believe it is the Boots buff. Do Void Grubs count for Boots buff?
And we have a big fighting here in the middle.
Yeah. Music Tab's on in the hoe there. That is going to be Mr. Pupper, also brought down to being low. Craftlaner going to be using a slash to get out of that. It's going to be a double kill for the side of Michigan Tech. A shutdown from our Avir. Don't know
And
the name of that guy. Another
triple
triple
kill.
onto the
Oh my
Poppy. Pantheon
goodness.
making himself known there. Stein going to be able to take down our Wukong. So a little bit of redemption there, but he's so low. Stunned up by Cran, and that's going to be a quadra kill
Wow.
for Pantheon. And an ace coming out as every single person on the side of Marquette falls. Scion ability not going to be able to get anything, and that is redemption from the Michigan
Exactly,
Tech
bringing
Huskies.
us back up to that like gold, and also it's going to give us this fight right here without worry of them stepping in.
Yeah, we are going to be able to get that Rift Herald there, and Huskies really just showing there that where there was bark before, there is finally some bite, making sure that, you know, one of those team fights earlier on that we can take down, and I'm just glad we won that fight handily, right? I believe it was only our Wukong that went down, and that is also going to be our Pantheon at 7-2 now. So, I mean, Music Tabs, we know how strong he can be in that top lane. There's been no pause in the deluge of glaze that we have given him over every single map or every single game that we have played over the last couple of weeks, and him just making his value known once again. We know how strong his Pantheon can be, but not exactly well versed enough to know exactly why that fight went in our favor, but it was just nice to see that we were able to finally take a fight and win in such a, you know, big fashion.
Yeah, MT was able to drop some really massive team fight ultimates there right at the end, which is why the fight turned so quickly.
Yeah, so pretty good from the side of us here. Also, looks like we have gotten our a lot of swap on who's playing where. So it looks like something that we've seen out of us a lot of the time is our it's a little bit of fight actually going on in the top lane here. Excuse me. Music Tab is just not wanting to get towered out again. This is going to be Marquette past our tower, and Nug rotating up here. This is going to be Nug slaying Kaleo, and this is now just Mr. Puppeteer just trying to get out, but unable to do anything, as that's going to be a second kill for Nug there. Marquette, I think, just getting ahead of themselves there, because we saw that. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, they got overly aggressive, and
yeah, hold on,
Michigan Tech was able to take advantage there.
Okay, fight coming down here in the mid lane. Okay, big couple of analytical things that we need to point out. First of all, we lost on this in the bottom lane. That is unfortunate. Second of all, we have summoned the Rift Herald in this top lane off of the advantage that we opened up in the top lane there, and there's going to be turret secure for Michigan Tech, and I believe that is going to be the boots buff for Michigan Tech.
That should be the boots buff for Michigan Tech.
Yes.
And Michigan Tech is also now up gold, which is going to help this turning point.
Yeah, so two analytical things that I want to point on there. First of all, why did Music Tabs win that top lane fight? I think it's because earlier on we saw the jungle and top laner for the side of Marquette have luck tower diving our top laner, our Pantheon, when he was kind of lower on that tower. They way overextended this time. They were so far past Michigan Tech's tower, and they didn't have the vision to realize that our jungler was a lot closer and able to rotate up. So they got totally ISO, which is going to give us that top lane tower. A little bit of a fight coming in here. It's going to be the Poppy ult again, knocking Nug back, or not Nug this time, but Kran back actually this time. It's going to be a good ult out of Avir.
And that'll be two for Michigan,
Yeah,
three
a
for
triple
Michigan
kill
Tech.
for the side of Michigan
Four.
Tech. Yeah, Music Tab is actually going to be dominating now. This is going to be Scion using that ability, but unable to find anything out of it. And this is just that last person left alive.
And Michigan Tech is
hanging
gonna
around the
take this
base
dragon.
for the side of Michigan Tech. There's going to be Infernal Drake secured for Michigan Tech. So that just
Fire resistance?
not fire resistance. I believe it's just additional attack damage. And basically just empowering our attacks. And since it is Inferno Soul, I believe if we can get 4 dragons, will that be the extra damage on attack, like the explosion every couple of
Yes.
attacks?
And
So
another
each-
blue turret is destroyed.
Each Infernal Dragon is going to grant additional attack damage and ability power, attack damage powering up physical moves, and ability power powering up magical moves. If they are able to get 4 dragons now at this point on their attacks every 10 seconds or so, it's going to do a big burst of damage.
Yeah, that big explosion there. And I can finally get back to what I had been needing to point out like 5 minutes ago, was that we've kind of just completely thrown where our team is playing to the wind. A couple minutes ago, you saw that Avir was fighting in the bot lane, and we actually had Kran and Kraft actually rotate up to that mid lane, with the top laner for that Scion for the side of Marquette actually now being the bottom laner. So potentially just not finding the value needed in the top lane there, just making the executive decision. But it doesn't really matter, because Michigan Tech has the rest of Marquette on the run here. Good of your ult to push them backwards, and that's going to be 2 kills claimed for the side of Michigan Tech. This is Khalil just trying to run, but unable to do anything as Cran's
that's
going to
his
just completely
third.
dive him. That is going to be another kill secured for the side of Michigan Tech. And this is just the Poppy, the jungler for Marquette, doing everything in their power to try to get out. But it's not really going to be mattering whether they get it or not, because that's another 3 kills secured for us. That is just another very good fight for Michigan Tech, and that's the second time we've seen really big value out of what I believe is the Avir ult, that line of soldiers that just pushes them back in some direction.
Yes, that would be the Azir.
Yes,
And I'm not
Azir.
really a math guy, but it looks like we're up 2 times the amount of lives, which is really going to put us at a big advantage here going into the rest of the round.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to see out of Michigan Tech coming out, as we move into this mid-game aspect here. Oh, Sunless, don't get ahead of yourself. There's 3 of them there. Don't let's not be throwing our life away for no reason.
Getting a little risky.
Yeah, definitely risky. But this is where we want to be, because we do have that stronger scaling comp. And so if we were fully tied up right now, like I had said earlier when we were starting the analytics for this broadcast, I would be very worried, because that would mean that we're going to get probably steamrolled as Marquette manages to build into these late game scalers.
Since they have those, the team comp in general is more of a late game fitting.
Yeah, but right now, considering that we're up by so much, I am very happy with Michigan Tech's state of the game. And support can either, or production can either agree or disagree with that as somebody who actually knows about League of Legends.
So basically what we're looking at here is MTU has got a good mix of both like more early game focused characters and later game focused characters. Wukong and Pantheon specifically are going to try and catch that lead early, while like Craftinator, Sunless will try and finish it out late. As for the other team, a lot of them are late game focused, so as this goes on further, if MTU doesn't push their lead farther enough, then they're going to start losing these fights.
Yeah, and apologies there. This is just a freaking 2v1 that Sunless just won in the bottom lane there, off the side of that Azir. And this is now going to give us the ability to go for a 3v3 in this mid lane here. It's going to be 2 for the Kasai and the other guy I don't know the name of for Marquette, just playing it really too safe. Flash use out of the...
Sion is stunned, and they're going to get him.
Yeah, that's gonna be the Scion just taken down there, but Nug going to be going in here. This is going to be 3 more kills found for the side of Michigan Tech, and that is going to be a team wipe for the side of Michigan Tech onto Marquette,
And
as
another
all
turret
5
taken
fall.
out.
And this is what you want to see out of a Michigan Tech squad. Once again, it feels like we're repeating the same game from last week. All of what happened right here was off the back of a 2v1 from Sunless in that bottom lane. Marquette just deciding that the best course of action for them in that moment was to feed 2 1v1s to the Azir for the side of Michigan Tech. I don't know why they decided to do that. I don't know why they decided that was the best course of action. But Sunless just once again proving that when he is feeling himself, when he gets going on these sprees, he is just able to open up games for us like this. Because what that allows is it allows us to just have this 4v3 in mid lane, or even 3v3 where we don't feel the need to dedicate an additional champion to that mid lane, and as soon as they're, they have to fall back on their mid lane, there's nowhere for them to go, because the other 2 people that will be holding map control for them are now dead. That is just absolutely beautiful to witness out of the side of Sunless there. A little bit of a poking and prodding now going. If I'm Marquette, I'm feeling worried. I'm not exactly happy with how this game is going so far. You just can't really win these fights here. Like if you look here, the level disparities, like our Pantheon is level 15, their Scion is level 13. Like that's not what you want to see. Our Wukong is level 14, their jungler is level 12. Like we're just winning on these levels by a long shot.
Yeah, and we've been able to take so much of the map in general. All those turrets have been taken down.
Yeah, second Drake there for Tech. This is just a little bit of a stomping, and it feels like it has turned into. One of our turrets going to be going down, but that is going to be the first turret that Marquette is going to be claiming to our 6. So, and this is Music Tabs trying to come in here across the map, and he's going to be pushing Kaliko onto the other side of the map, deep into our base. They are just full on ISO'd here. I don't know where they're, and this is just a beautiful isolation here from the side of Music Tabs. Our jungler rotating in over the wall there. I wish Free Cam would get, I just feel bad for him. Like, what can you do when all 3 Michigan Tech are just on you like dogs to like
I have the
rabid
answer
dogs?
for that. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
Michigan Tech fighting as a pack there, like the Huskies we are, taking them out.
Yeah, this is just very, very good isolation there for the side of Michigan Tech onto Marquette there. This is also going to be, looks like Poppy, the jungler, just completely stunned up, shut down. The Cran there, Rel just, having a little bit of that value. Not usually the support you see taking those fights, killing the members of their team, but And this is just going to be everybody from the side of Marquette just retreating back to their base as well. Just desperation heals. But like, what can you do? Like you're losing in gold. You don't have the ability to build into these items. You've lost your dragon buffs. You don't have boots buff. You're losing by levels on a pretty heavy amount.
Yeah,
That is going to be
it makes
Michigan
it
Tech.
feel more and more one-sided as we're going out through this game.
Yeah, especially with the fact that we've taken down Baron now. We're going to have Baron buff on our minions. Probably going to see us grouping up for some big push into their base in the next couple of minutes with our empowered minions. You can see here we're targeting that tier 2 turret in the top lane, looks like, with everybody on the side of Michigan Tech grouping up around that tier 2 turret in the top lane. There's going to be turret going down, and it looks like there are all 5 members of Marquette here to defend this. So this looks like it might be a last stand as they try to defend against Michigan Tech with that Baron buff on their minions. Sunless going to be taken down as you're all going to be coming out. Good dash away from Sunless there.
Out.
You can see Naho trying to follow up on that, but it's not going to be able to do anything. It's going to be the Scion brought down to low. Scion going to be taken down. Going to have that revive online, but Pantheon just going to be legendary here as we lose the ability to see anything on the side of the HUD here. And this is going to be a good fight here. Nug going to be taking on like a side for the side of Marquette. This is going to be a double kill for Wukong as well onto the... Don't know who that guy is.
And we have another ace.
From the side of Pantheon there with the 10 to 30 on the side of Michigan Tech when it comes down to the kills onto Marquette there. Apologies for not being able to really tell you what was going on in the fight.
Yeah,
They kind of lost control of the HUD for a little bit.
Very close. It looked like MU was going to be able to take back us from there. Like,
yeah, but it's just not going to matter. That's going to be the Nexus taken down for the side of Michigan Tech onto Marquette, and a clean victory for the Michigan Tech Huskies in just over 27.5 minutes. So not as fast as last week, but just as dominant of a performance from our Huskies. Exactly what we wanted to see.
I mean, how many minutes do they get in a game? 45 minutes?
I think it goes until one team wins.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, 20 minutes is a pretty quick game. In like I guess in the general theme of League of Legends in and of itself, I've heard games can go on for hours, and we finished it in less than half an hour.
Yeah, so very good first game coming up for the side of them there. It gives me a little bit of hope that I might be able to get some homework done tonight if we do get out of here in a timely fashion. And this is a clean 2-0 for the side of Michigan
Definitely
Tech, so.
recommend that you try and get your homework done early so that you can get some good sleep.
That is true. Got to wake up at 5:30 tomorrow morning.
Important. But if you can't get enough sleep, just pop a Rockstar in the morning. Just get some of those energy drinks, maybe a little Mountain Dew. Get some quick sugars. Get your brain firing, ready to go to class.
Yeah, Pepsi is the official soft drink sponsor of Michigan Tech, by the way. So, feeling a little bit of refreshment, long day of our athletics. That's always there for you. And while we're on the topic of ad reads, we should also be talking about university images. Bookstore.mtu.edu. It is your choice for any Huskies merch and apparel. You want something like what we're wearing right now. You want some cool Husky swag. Go there. It is university owned. It is university operated. It's university images. So it is there for you if you want that swag and stuff like that. Thank you again to all of our sponsors providing the money to allow us to do stuff like this, giving our athletes the opportunity to compete at these levels, giving them those opportunities to build themselves as athletes, as players, and as students. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And as always, if you want to keep in touch with Huskies, what we're working on, keep in touch with our teams. Make sure you do stuff like follow our Twitter, follow our Twitch channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, drop a comment. Let us know what your favorite part of the first map was so far and who your MVP was. And on the topic of MVPs, we should get into that discussion of who was the map 1 MVP. I know for me, it's between 2 people. It's between Sunless and between Music Tabs.
I mean, I guess that's really up for debate there. I don't have the stats in front of me, but who did the most damage. But yeah, no, for sure, because there was that 4-quill, that quad.
Yeah.
Who had that quad?
I believe that was Pantheon. I think he was like 7-2 very early in the game. And the reasons are basically because, Music Tabs, we've always known him to be like a reliable top laner, just being able to dominate the lane no matter like what character or what champion that he's on. And we saw that a lot here, catching Scion out very early on. Stuff like that, see there, from what our stats can show here, basically don't know what the first guy's name is, but our
Corky.
Pantheon, Corky, Azir, and Pantheon basically all tied on the side of Michigan Tech for damage within like 1,000. It was like 30.5k damage, 30.4k damage, and then like 29.9k damage.
And I mean, I guess the only thing that would like separate those for me is how early on they got started, because that motivation and getting the ball rolling is just so important when like considering an MVP player, because they started it. and then everybody else can fall in and finish and get all the work done.
Yeah, there's basically the reason that I say there's it's between Pantheon and Azir for me is basically because I think Pantheon was just extremely consistent throughout the entire game when it comes to those big team fights. Like in those team fights, we saw him getting all of that value. Just like taking like 4 people down. Top lane, other than just getting caught out a couple of times, he was very dominant in that lane. So he would probably be my map 1 MVP. The only reason that I say that Azir could potentially also be our MVP on Sunless is because he had a lot of at least one of those situations again where he just wins a 2v1 just full ISO'd and manages to open up the map for us. Like we saw that he wins that. Well, it was kind of like 2 1v1s,
Yeah, that
but
was a
back-to-back
huge play
1v1s
right there.
in that bottom lane, which opens up our ability to just totally dive their mid lane, full wipe the rest of the team there. So I think I would have to give it to Pantheon for map 1. I think Music Tabs, someone we've definitely said a lot of the time when we're talking about MVPs for different maps, so he's going to take that again, at least for me. But Azir going to be a close second there. Sunless just showing that, he still has it in him. He's still doing a really good job. So.
Well, we're definitely gonna see what's gonna happen here on the second map. It's a best 2 out of 3 then?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to be getting into the second picks and bans here pretty shortly. It is Fearless Draft, which means that any champions that Michigan Tech has played in that last map, they cannot play in more maps today. Same
Okay.
thing for Marquette. So Marquette they can't play like Scion again, for example, although they might be happy about that considering how that didn't really go very well in the top lane. But so they can't play like no Kasai for them, stuff like that. Although I do believe that Michigan Tech, we can pick champs that they have played. Is that true, production? It is true. Thank you, production. Goats.
Yeah, they've been very helpful as we learn and cast this game for you folks.
Yes, it turns out that it is a little bit hard to, I've been lucky in the past casting with Ben or, John, where I can not know anything about it and I still have analytics, but when neither of us know what the heck is going on when it comes to who's getting picked, it's like, okay. Like,
All right,
that guy looks cool.
speaking of getting in picks and stuff, let's get into the bans. So for the Michigan Tech side, we have banned
we're on
Riven.
blue this time.
Okay, so we have banned Riven, who is they're a very strong mid-game player. Definitely, like I've been talking about, the snowball getting started pretty early and it just carrying over. And they're a pretty strong player. Their Riven would be very dangerous because they can kind of hold a lane by themselves and solo it, which is something just very powerful.
Yeah, important in League of Legends. There's also going to be Viego banned once again for the side of Michigan Tech. These are, I think those first 2 bans, kind of a repeat of what we saw last time. Viego, usually jungler, can flex mid, top, good for, skirmishing, stuff like that. Also looks like we're going to be banning into Flora. Fiora, yes, that is an I instead of a Fiora, yes, that is I instead of an L there.
Yeah, Fiora, pretty powerful top laner. Definitely a high threat. Really good at shredding tanks.
Yes.
So taking Fiora out of the mix, it's going to allow the tanks to play around a little bit more and be a little bit more useful.
Yeah, very important because we have picked into Braum, which will probably be played by Kran again there, considering how good she did on it last week. So just getting that Fiora out of the picture so that, we can let our Braum thrive, stuff like that. Exactly. And yes, we have the Mordekaiser on the side of Music Tabs. This is what I want to see. This is... I'm sure people at home are a little bit tired of me glazing the Mordekaiser, but like, look, I don't know a lot about League of Legends. I just remember that he just totally shuts people down when he's on Mordekaiser, and also Mordekaiser's cover art looks cool. So
I have to agree with you. It given some dark vibes of absolute power.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into Marquette's bans. They have banned.
Yeah, they've started off with banning Jinx again. So. That's once again Jinx, just very good at like heavy fighting, stuff like that. Good bot lane character. Just wanted to make sure that we don't have that fight power. They're also going to be banning Victor as well. Pretty interesting ban from the side of them there.
Yeah, I mean Victor, he's a good mid lane character just in general. I think they're just trying to take away some of the possibilities of like Braum working with other people in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, Braum probably wouldn't work with Victor themselves if Victor's going to be a mid laner. Braum will probably be playing with whoever we pick as our ADC. Um,
Right.
Wei, yes, as our ADC. Is Wei assassin?
Wei is a mage. He is a
Yes, okay.
APC.
Yes.
Okay.
So that stuff, just getting quickly into the rest of the picks and bans here. So this is going to be MTU is going to be banning Warwick. Many of you might know them from Arcane. Warwick, good jungler, good sustained pick potential, objective control, stuff like that. Good at like early skirmishing, locking down priority targets, stuff like that. Because he has a suppression ultimate, apparently. Production, can you please tell me what suppression ultimate means?
Yeah, so a suppression ultimate is going to be a channel where like he latches onto you, he can't move, you can't move, but he's going to be damaging you the whole time.
You can just get railed on by
And
people
healing.
around you as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good to know. And then our final pick is also just going to be Nocturne again. Basically just, prevent stuff like disruptive flank, stuff like that. Quickly getting onto the bans from Marquette here, the last two here. The first one is going to be Yunara? Yunara?
Yeah, Yunara, very high mobility top laner.
ADC.
ADC,
ADC.
yes. Yeah. For some reason, League of Legends Wiki does not want to pull this up for me. So don't exactly know why, but that's just how it is. Though what we can talk about is the Civ ban here, though, from the side of MU, which Civ, something we've seen, I believe, Michigan Tech play before, or yeah. So good ADC there with very good wave clear and spell shielding, and so wave control important. Being able to take down minions very quickly and stuff like that. Means that Marquette is potentially worried about any mobility enhancements that Michigan Tech does, maybe not wanting to give that extra power, especially if we were going to be pairing them with our Braum, stuff like that. Getting into the actual picks here, we've already talked about Michigan Tech picking onto Braum,
And
very
then
strong.
also Mordekaiser, who you have been
Yeah.
glazing constantly throughout this entire
Yeah.
beach.
I just want to take a moment again to shout out Erica's Braum. I think that was one of the main reasons we were able to take that map to last week.
And
We
then
were
Brahms'
fighting.
counterpart for this game, we have Huai, who,
Yeah.
as we talked about, is that mage type. It's going to be able to deal out some of that damage and let Braum help out there.
It appears I was wrong. It's going to be Kog'Maw bottom lane.
Oh, it's going to be
Kog'Maw bottom lane.
Kog'Maw. Okay.
Okay, so that's gonna be Sunless onto Hui then. So, not sure if that's a conventional pick, but if he can perform half as good as he did on the last map, we should be riding pretty tight so far. As well as the MTU picking Mordekaiser, just making sure that we get that in our system, and then it is going to be MTU, like we said, picking Hui, or Hui. Yeah, so that is going to be as mid lane there. So that Hui, as we said, just good flexible magic damage.
Yeah, good with zone control, has a decent amount of utility. It's going to be very helpful there in some of the mid-game fights.
Yeah, and then Kog'Maw going to be adding a lot of damage there in our bottom lane. So I believe we did see us play Kog'Maw last time. I don't exactly remember that much about it. I just remember that we won, and so that's what I think is important here.
Yeah.
And then our last pick is going to be that Trundle. Trundle is probably going to be our jungle then.
Yes, and they're also going to be our anti-tank.
Yeah.
So watching out on the other side. I'm not exactly sure who a tank is over there.
Yeah,
Nunu, yeah. That would be, we're definitely trying to prevent some of that there.
Yeah, and so on the side of Marquette here, it looks like the first pick is going to be that Camille, or Camille. Not exactly sure how to pronounce that there. Sounds like chamomile. I like chamomile tea.
Absolutely delicious.
Most likely for top laner, for them there, has good, targeted dive, lane pressure, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Those dives are very, very messy. They can add you to the fight a lot quicker, and definitely something to be careful of.
Yeah, looks like second pick for them is going to be
Vigar?
Vigar. Okay, probably in mid lane then. So good burst damage, good scaling, attack power, stuff like that. Has pretty good late game scaling.
Yeah, with that burst
Yeah.
damage, we're gonna have to be careful with grouping up.
Yeah.
Just in general, because easy 2-piece, 3-piece there, depending on how close we're working.
Yeah. Third pick for them is going to be Ashe, most likely for that ADC. Good kind of just control player or control champion, I'd say. Good, good engage, but has also good like vision control, just being able to figure out what the heck is happening on the map at all time. Important to point out that she has very good long range poke and stuff like that, and so it is potentially something we're going to have to be wary of on the side of Michigan Tech. That Braum shield going to be very important. That Erica is on top of her game when it comes to making sure that our Kog'Maw isn't taking too much damage there. Fourth pick for the side of Marquette is going to be Morgana, which is going to be hello wiki. Tell me what this character does that I can pretend I know what I'm talking about. Okay, Morgana, most likely for, let's see, support or mid lane here? Probably, yeah, support, because we're going to have that Viegar mid lane. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
and
Yeah.
the nice thing about Morgana is going to really help round out their magic damage, and give them some of that anti-CC tools and objective control through these zonings.
Yeah, and then finally to top it all off here, we're going to have the jungler for the side of Marquette.
Yeah, as we've already talked, Nunu's going to be more their tank, and definitely going to have some of that early game impact, and just going to kind of keep an eye on them.
Yeah, so just to kind of you know, give you a little bit of recomp here. So Michigan Tech basically just probably going to be a lot of focus here on empowering Kog'Maw, just making sure that they can do all that damage in the bottom lane. Like we said, going to be important that our Braum is on top of it there. Kind of just a all around, brawling comp again. Feels like we're not exactly trying to scale into anything in particular, just making sure that we have good fighting power throughout the entire game. Whereas Marquette is kind of more just a burst comp that is going to want to, do a lot of like poke damage depending on where we are on the map.
Yeah,
Just
it
try
definitely
and
looks like MU is going to have a little bit more of that long range there, and going to try and keep us back at a distance. They might have partially picked this just because of how dangerous we were last game,
yeah.
with how quickly we could advance and push up, and they're trying to keep us. They're trying to keep us back. They're scared.
Yeah, I'm gonna look towards for Michigan Tech on the side here, I'm going to look towards not allowing ourselves to be picked off, I think, by a lot of that poke. We know how good of a fighting duo that Kran and Kraft are when they get together, and so I'm not exactly that worried about them on that side here. Other thing here, I'm going to look for, like we've talked about, Mordekaiser in that top lane going up against the Camille, just being able to, like win the ones up there. I want to see a lot of Mordekaiser ults that just result in us being a man up, stuff like that. So like we know how strong the more Music Tab's Mordekaiser ults have been in particular, and so just being able to continue that trend. And then I'm also going to look towards Nug just kind of being on top of his game here as our Trundle. It's a good pick from us here because it's kind of, an anti-tank jungler, and they have picked into a tanky jungler. But that means it's also going to be very important that Nug is on top of, like, vision placement and stuff like that, because he's kind of the condition that's going to prevent their jungler from getting a lot of value. And so if he's not in the right place at the right time, like we see the jungle for the side of Marquette rotating up to try, gank our top lane or try to gank our Mordekaiser, and he's more towards bottom lane, maybe that coordination is a little bit off, stuff like that, that can potentially be very bad for us. And
Yeah.
so just making sure that he's, needs to be on top of, team comms need to be good, just in the right place at the right time, making sure that we're not able to get ISO, which is kind of a broken record because that is every jungler's job, just making sure that you're there to like stop those ganks and actually gank yourself. But it's just going to be even more critically important in this game because we have specifically picked a jungle to counter or that is very effective against a jungle that they have picked into.
Yeah, I mean that's just gonna be good for us on that side, as long as we are consistently working as a team and communicating that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely showed last game. Wherever that vision was, it really definitely kind of swayed it a little bit, because whenever we were out of the fight or our jungler was out of the way and not exactly where they needed to be, they were able to get that advantage. I think as it is with most of these games.
Yeah. So going to be loading in here. Spectator delay has done. Just waiting for that in-game client to load. It's going to be more than 30 seconds until you guys are right into the action for this second map. Or second round, I should say, of this series. So people are going to be spawning in here. Like we said, Michigan Tech on blue this time.
Yep. And for any of you who are spawning into the stream late and you want to keep up with more of MTU Esports, you can check out our past VOD and future comment. content, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at MTU Esports.
Yeah, so looks like neither team going for an early invade this time. Didn't really work out last time, so I guess
For
they're not
either
really.
team.
Yeah. So also just knowing that both teams are probably going to be wary of that, so you don't really lose that surprise factor on that invade early on. So have to see what we pick into. First thing that I am pointing out, we have swapped characters or swapped roles, I guess, because it looks like Sion Gorar is on Viegar this time in the
Yes, it would appear
jungle
that way.
instead of being in the top lane. So it is instead going to be Kaleo in the top lane on a champion that I do not remember the name of.
That is Camille in the top lane.
Camille in the top lane. Okay, Chamomile top lane. That's all I got to remember. Michigan Tech's top laner is currently sitting in the jungle with Nug, with our Trundle. And so kind of just waiting for minions to spawn in here now. Potentially, no, it looks like Mordekaiser will be rotating back up to the his tier 1 tower in the top lane. So, yeah, so
There we are.
not exactly going for anything big early on. Just that bit that Viegar in the mid lane there going to be swapping around. So not exactly sure if that's a smart thing for them to do. I thought that people typically have like predefined roles, but who am I to say? I have exactly 0 hours in this video game, so
Yeah, I could definitely see someone doing something like this.
yeah. So a little bit of a miss on the Mordekaiser ability there. I don't know if that's his Q, E,
That
or
is his
W.
Q.
Q. The big smash from overhead is his Q. Okay, I will keep that in mind. Another Q?
Yep.
Okay, I learned things about this game one attack at a time. That's exactly what we're here for. So a little bit of a root there onto Kran. So
Yeah, so Morgana's main thing is that she has one of the longest CCs in the game on her Q. It is about 3 seconds long.
yeah, and
That's a
Morgana
long time.
is that Mr. Pupper? Morgana? Or no, Morgana is Bone of My Morb, right?
Yes.
Yes,
There's
okay.
Mr. Pupper on the Ash.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Pupper on the Ash. And so is Morgana then a support?
Yes, and Ash
Yes,
gets
okay,
to
and Ash is your
slow
ADC.
every auto attack.
Ash what?
Ash slows on
And
every
we have
auto
a
attack.
2-3,
Okay.
3-on-2 going on right now.
Yeah, so good damage there. Oh, that's going to
They
be
are
our
gonna
bomb
back
taken
us
down. That is
off
going to
and
be
get the
unlucky.
first blood.
Yeah, Kraft needs to get this trade here. Captain J going to be rotating back. Good dodge in the ability there out of Ash. This is still not exactly what I wanted. Oh, and that's going to be a good... And that's that long CC really rearing its head there. And so that is going to be first blood secured for the side of Marquette this time around. So a little bit unlucky for our Huskies there. Not really just expecting to get 2v2'd that early on. Not able to get back to the towers in time, but not exactly the end of the world.
Yeah, that was good work by the jungler, though. Like, it was a pretty close 2v2 until the jungler was able to step in quickly and turn the tides of that battle.
Was the jungler? I thought jungler was in top.
Yes, the Nunu
Oh.
showed up in that fight in the bot lane.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Watch Minimap Morse. Yeah, it looks like... Okay, speaking of junglers, though, our jungler is also rotating in here. You can see Nug, potentially, maybe just wanted to kill the Scuttle Crab there. In the... I can't tell if that's a potent... No, it looks like that's just in river, so... Potentially looking for a 3v2, though, if he wanted to. It looks like the jungler, Nunu, is in the top jungle right now for the side of Marquette, so we could go for a 3v2 if he was able to get there in time. This is good, trying to get damage onto Mr. Pupper. You can see that shield there from Braum, just, you know, making sure those minions don't get any damage. Not exactly sure how important that is, but, ooh, okay, Nunu is rotating in. This is that gank I was talking about in that top lane. Mordekaiser stunned up. He's going to try and be able to rotate back to the tower there, but I mean, both of them brought down to half HP, so not exactly the worst thing in the world. This is also good damage from Sunless onto the Viergar. Totally butchering that name.
Oh, brutal little fight in the
And
top
nice
river
little-
here against the Nunu.
And Michigan
Yeah.
Tech is going to tie the lives back up with music tabs and...
Yeah, that was our jungler, like we said, doing their job, making sure we get on top of their jungler and just being able to shove them down there. And so this is also music tabs potentially. Ooh, that's going to be a good pull there onto Kaleo. This is going to be, or Camille, going to be rotating back. Music tabs, that hand, was that, what ability is that?
E.
E, okay, so the hand is E, the big overhead smash is Q. What is W?
And the first dragon has
Gives himself
spawned
a
5 minutes
big
into the ground.
shield and then can use it to heal himself.
Ah, okay, so that's W, Q is big overhand, and E is the hand that pulls. I am learning things about this video game. That is always good. Looks
That-
like we have a little bit of a 2v1 here. Ooh, okay. So Camille going to try and be able to get out. Okay, but no, that's going to be a good placed, whatever that is, trophy from Nug there, trying to knock her backwards a little bit. But not going to be able to, go for the tower dive there. Not exactly wanting to risk it. So it's going to force a channel out of their top lane there. But this is just going to be our jungler rotating back to the mid lane. For the time being here. Not really that much going on around the other side of the map here. A little bit of poke and prod from Sunless on his mid lane. We know how aggressive that he likes to play in this mid lane. But not exactly wanting to, overextend. That's a lot of damage onto Sion Gorar there. Barely dodging that next ability there. I wouldn't... Oh, okay, that's why he's managing, because
It's going to be a miss from the ults from Quay, but it doesn't matter. Quay is still able to pick up that kill on Vigar.
Yeah, and this is also a 2v1 now coming on onto the Nunu in the mid lane here for Michigan Tech. They
Yeah,
are going to let him
which,
retreat back to that tower.
Whichever
But-
team gets advantage here, they'll have a chance of attacking that dragon too.
Yeah, especially with that spawn back in. Also, Michigan Tech just one away from securing a feat of warfare. So this looks like our jungler, our Trundle, is going to be pulling the aggro of that Fire Drake. Nobody else on them right now. So Sunless going to be doing good damage onto Nunu. Sunless just trying to run, going to be rooted up, but good. That's another piece of good damage there. Sunless not wanting to overextend. Good idea to probably back off there, but
And Nugtart still just getting this one-on-one with the dragon. A lot of good personal time there.
yeah, I'm surprised that nobody from Marquette has rotated in, potentially them just not knowing that he's locked onto this dragon. Looks like our Braum is also rotated up, so that is going to be blue team. Michigan Tech taking that Fire Drake there. Once again, Fire Drake just going to empower our damage, going to be giving us more attack power.
Yeah, and that
when it
was
comes
a
to what we're
nice
doing.
play, allowing everybody to still fight their battles. Nugtart did well,
Yeah.
just keeping that aggro and taking out the Drake.
Okay, this looks like a big fight here for the side of Marquette, though. We have 4 people rotating in, leaving only their top lane. It's going to be a big 3v4, especially with how tagged up Michigan Tech is. Flash used from Kran trying to get out. Good heal from the side
Yeah,
of
Nugtart was
Braum
rooted,
there.
and they're going to get
Yeah, this is...
absolutely destroyed there.
Yeah,
They're gonna take
unfortunately,
2.
Craft's going to be taken down as well. There's going to be a channel. So that is actually going to be Marquette taking the feat of warfare instead. So you saw the Braum shield try to come up last second there, potentially give us the ability to just go back to our tower, the safety that it does provide, but it was not going to lead to anything. So that is unfortunately going to be Michigan Tech brought down there, though. Considering that we did get that first Infernal Drake, though, we aren't in that bad of a position, especially because we're pretty much tied up on gold lead here, 11.4 to 11.4k, trailing by like 50 gold, probably.
Yeah, the important thing to
So-
look at is that Ashe is currently 2-0, so that is not good for him.
Yeah, what is Ashe going to build in? Like, how does she get stronger if she's getting all these kills?
Yeah, so Ashe is definitely going to be building items that just increase her DPS. Her main thing is that when she builds crit chance, she doesn't actually crit, she just gains bigger sustained damage. So it's like every hit is a lesser crit,
Yeah.
and then also a bit.
Yeah, so something that Michigan Tech is going to want to be cautious when it comes down to, as well as we do have the jungle for the side of Marquette also in this bottom lane right now. So potentially looking for I can't tell, this looks like a 3v1 in the top lane. Our Braum is all the way up in the river going after Void Grubs with our jungle and top laner, and so I'm a little bit worried that Marquette is going to catch wind of this. You can see that they're kind of pressuring Kraft, even though he's really close to our tower there. Good pull there from the side of Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser E with that hand.
Yep.
So, not exactly too bad. Also, I do want to point out that Music Tabs does have Mordekaiser ultimate up, and so if he is able to get enough damage onto the Camille there, potentially just going to pop that, secure that easy 1v1.
Yeah, Nugtart doing his little one-on-ones again, but Captain Jade and
3v1.
Cleo's... Oh, well, on the beat monster.
Yeah. Looks like he will be getting caught out, though. That is going to be the flash used, but not going to be able to get away from that Camille. Unless
But he
Mordekaiser
does.
is rotating in, going to be
Music Tabs
Mordekaiser
does
ulting the
drop his
Camille.
ultimate
That is,
on
yeah,
Camille,
huge E as well to
saving
pull that
Nugtart.
down there. Khalil trying to go up top there, going to be brought down to a sliver of hit points. Can he land a critical Q or anything like that just to be able to take him down? Oh, that is going to be Scion slaying Nug. Not exactly sure how that happened. Also,
And
our Mordekaiser is
taking
going
out
to be taken
Music
down.
Tab.
That is a brutal blunder for the side of Michigan Tech there. Looks like just either staying in that fight too long, Nug just not wanting to leave his Mordekaiser alone and just not retreating even though he was on 1 HP. And our Mordekaiser ultimate getting a lot of value onto Camille there, but unable to, fully finish that kill.
The Hoyle coming out. Gonna put
Yeah,
Vanguard
if
up
I
there.
was playing Call of Duty, I would have said that guy was one shot, 100%, and that was close. Oh, but we did get a
Yep.
slay on Roar. Good
Don't
work
know how
there.
that happened. Good job. This is going to be the Nunu also onto Sunless here in that mid lane, but
Yes.
that's tank my ass. They've taken so much damage.
I mean,
It's gonna be the
Sunless.
flash use, but not towards the tower.
I mean, Sunless versus Captain there though. Captain was down 2 whole levels, so Sunless had a pretty decent advantage there.
Yeah, that is very true. So a little bit of good poke and prod here in that mid lane again for the side of Michigan Tech onto them. That is going to be tier 1 mid lane tower for the side of Marquette, brought down to actually half HP here. So if we were able to get the Rift Herald, if we were able to kill that, that could just be a one-shot to that tower, considering it does do half the tower damage. But kind of just things falling into a lull here. Another team wanted to overextend, not exactly any massive objectives to go for a big fight around at the current moment. So
Looks like we are going to get a 3v3 down on the bottom lane.
yeah, good Mordekaiser either just to pull him in, but doesn't really do anything when he's... Okay, never mind, there's a massive fight coming on here. This is going to be a lot of damage on the side of MTU, but it's going to be the Nunu for the side of Marquette also being taken down, but this is going to be Mr. Pupper getting one from the grave as he's taken down by Nug as well. Mordekaiser also wanting to get into the action in this top lane here. Going to be low on the music tabs, but Camille also going to be brought down to half HP. Do not have Mordekaiser ult up just yet. A sliver of time until that comes back online. Would have loved to have it there for that engagement. This is going to be, I believe that was, 2-1 for the side of Michigan Tech there in that skirmish towards the bottom of the map there. So going to be retaking a little bit of that not exactly advantage, but interesting to note that Michigan Tech is down by a kill. We are up by about 1,500 gold right now, probably due to us having, some of those Drakes and more of those map objectives. Second Dragon is also going to be spawning in here. So that tier 1 lane tower also going to be brought down pretty low. Michigan Tech needing, I believe, one more objective before they would be able to get that feat, because they have Void Grubs and Dragon,
Yes, that
right?
is correct.
Yeah, so they need one more, as well as a tower if they wanted to get boots. Well, this is a good... Is that a ult?
That was the Hwei ult coming
Yeah.
down, and that Hwei QW is going to be
Ooh,
enough to take
taking
down the
out.
Nunu.
Yeah, I don't know what a QW is, but it did a lot of damage.
Yeah, so basically, Hwei's main gimmick is that he gets, Craftinator just going crazy on this Veigar, is going to secure the carry layer with
Ooh.
Wow.
Kog'Maw ult.
And blue team also took the Drake.
Yeah, Mountain Drake
But
there.
Hwei's main gimmick is that each of his basic abilities, Q, W, and E, opens up a menu for 3 different basic abilities.
I do remember us
He
talking
has
about
9
this,
basic abilities. So
Because-
Q is different from QW, is different from WQ.
because 3 abilities wasn't hard enough for us to understand. Yeah, so a little bit of summarization of what happened there. That was a good Hwei. What does Hwei ult do exactly?
It puts a circle around them that expands, it slows them greatly, so it makes it a lot easier for him to hit his abilities on them. But he needs to hit his ult first to do so.
Yeah, similar to a Harbor ult, I guess, if you're stuck inside that, if you are a Valorant fan. So that was going to be a good ISO there then from Sunless to be able to get that, as well as us taking Mountain Drake. So it's going to be 2-0 in terms of Drake here. I believe we went over this last map, but Mountain Drake giving just damage resist?
Yes, that Mountain Drake is going to give armor and magic resist.
Yes, armor and magic resist is what you had said. A little bit of a 2v1 here in the bottom lane. Sunless, going to be the Hwei going to be rotating down into the bottom lane there. Looks like we're going for our typical thing around the time the turret platings fall, where our ADC and support rotate up into that mid lane, something that we see Michigan Tech do all of the time. A little bit of a fight here. Cyangorar not going to be able to get any value as well. Yeah, that's going to be a big ISO there. Going to be knocked down. Nobody from Michigan Tech dead just yet. And Nug going to be... Actually, no. It is going to be Nunu killing Craftinator, but going to be instantly traded out by our Hwei. No, Nug is going to kill Nunu, and... yeah, Trundle is going to be killing somebody else on the side of their team. So good job, Michigan Tech. That's exactly what we want to see. So this is also going to be, let's see here. The Michigan Tech does 2 dragons count as 2 separate objectives, or is it just dragon as an
So
objective?
MTU currently has the objective total. Should have that feat.
Okay, yes.
All
So
they
now
need
it's
is
just
one
going to come
tower.
down to who gets that first turret. And it looks like, bar a mistake from our end, it should probably be MTU, considering that tier 1 turret mid lane is so low right now.
Is dead.
Oh, okay, it's going to be
First
the
turret by Michigan
tier
Tech.
1 turret in the bottom lane, actually, as this big 3v1 comes onto Camille. Not exactly sure what you were dashing out for. There are 3 people surrounding you. So that is going to be Michigan Tech obtaining Boots buff. Once again, very important for those unfamiliar at home. Again, boots buff just gives you the ability to purchase better boots for your characters, which could give you either maybe more damage, maybe you move faster, stuff like that. Just giving you that additional option to spend your gold on.
Yeah, you can get the boots with the fur.
Yeah,
But yeah, so why you normally see the ADC and support switch into the mid lane right around the 15-minute mark is so that way the ADC can come help with all the objectives everywhere. Because like with this Rift Herald we just saw, Craftinator was right in mid lane, so all you had to do was just walk up a little bit upriver and get to that Rift Herald to help take it.
Yeah, very good to know there. And this is also going to be a second turret there for the side of Michigan Tech secured. So Marquette, not exactly happy to see all that infrastructure falling down on their side. Looks a little bit like East Hall, considering how those turrets are crumbling. But not to worry. It looks like, was that another ult there from Sunless?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, that Hui ult on his side, just not exactly managing to secure the kill. But knocking him down to extremely low hit points there, giving him that ability to do a little bit of damage onto that tower there. We do have, I believe, Marquette actually doing a lot of damage also. Yeah, it looks like swapping over there on spectator view to our mid lane tower as well, considering that our ADC and support had rotated.
And Sunless is going to get pinched
not
there.
looking good for Sunless.
Yeah,
Will
but
secure the kill on the Nunu? It does not appear so. But
yeah,
Nugtart
Flash
close
almost
by.
up, but not exactly up, and that is going to be the shutdown from what I believe is the Camille there.
And Nugtart was not able to get there in time to help.
Yeah, so that is going to be a little bit of an overextension from him. He was pretty deep in enemy territory, maybe feeling himself a little bit, but that is going okay.
Yeah, Kraft and
Vanguard-
Crayon were way too far up. Like, especially
Yeah.
right after that kill on Sunless in the bot lane, they should have been ready for this.
Yeah, Kren's just dead. We saw that massive CC that you talked about coming down onto the side of Kraft here. Tried to flash out, but not able to find anything. Oh, he's going to take one, though. He's going to take Camille, so that
And
is
the
going to be...
second,
And
Nugtart
Nug is actually
is
going to be taking down
taking
Nunu as
two.
well, and this is all of a sudden when it's turning from a good situation for Marquette, it's turned into an even worse one. It's the Mordekaiser Q from above, also going to be taking down the Vingar for the side of Marquette, and like I said, this was looking like Marquette had finally come out with something that they could be proud of, something that they could be happy about. It was a situation that has finally turned in their favor, and Michigan Tech just saying, you know what, no, screw it. You don't actually get to play the game. You don't get to have fun.
And they're going to take out that third turret on top.
Yeah, this is... I thought that... Not exactly feeling undeserved from the side of Michigan Tech, but we definitely made some mistakes. Both with Sunless being pushed way too far forwards in that bot lane, as well as Cran and Kraft also being pushed too far forwards in that mid lane. And
Yeah, and it doesn't
Marquette
look like
was doing a
MU
good
was able
punish.
to capitalize on that as well as they should have been able to.
Yeah, because like we saw the one kill from them come out onto Kraft, I believe, in mid lane, but he was able to get one right before he died, and then Nug was basically just on cleanup duties. We had our jungler and our support also just able to, do a ton of damage there. Actually, no, I believe our support was dead.
And the Hexagon Drake was taken by Red
Yeah,
Team.
and this is just Michigan Tech once again continuing to steamroll. This is going to be Trundle and Tway each securing a kill of their own. This is a 4v1. Bonaparte trying to run away, but not really going to be able to, take anything when it comes to that. Can't really do much in a 4v1 when you are a Morgana like that. You have a really long stun, but only onto whoever you can hit that onto. When there's 4 people on you, you're just trying to run away, but you don't have that flash up. Can't really get out from there. And this is going to be another turret destroyed. Looks like that Hui taking down the tier 2 turret in the mid lane as our 3 people take down
And
that
the
tier
fifth
2
one.
mid lane turret as well. Sorry, Hui taking down that bot lane turret. Hui also trying to push with the Trundle into the base of Marquette. They're taking down
there's
once again
6
another turret.
turret.
Looks like the ult out. Is that the Camille ult that big?
Yeah, it makes that big hexagon that they can't leave.
And we have a beautiful 5v5 going
Yeah,
on.
Craftinator also going to be taking down Camille as well. Kren also going to be taking down Morgana. So a good 2 kills from Michigan Tech here. He's trying to channel back to base as he is getting ganked by 4 different people. Nunu, that is not the time to use that
That was
ability.
actually Nunu's ult coming out. He puts a big circle on the ground, slows everyone, does damage, scales up with Talon on the channel.
I see. So we're potentially a little bit of a misspeak from me there, but it's not going to matter because this is going to be an ace for Michigan Tech. And what looks like the end of the game, potentially here. We're taking down these turrets, and okay, we have 1 person up. Who cares? The Nexus is ours. And Michigan Tech Huskies saying 27.5 minutes was way
Quick
too
enough.
long for us. It's going to be a shutdown. Camille finally getting maybe just 1 kill onto Mordekaiser there, but it is not going to matter because that is going to be a victory for the Michigan Tech Huskies in under 20 minutes. They said last game, that was a good game. we can do better.
Yeah, I mean, watching this game, it made last game feel like it was taking forever.
Yeah.
This game was fast. It
Yeah.
was definitely a lot quicker. A lot more happened very quickly. Michigan Tech was able to take uh, the first two dragons, giving them a very large advantage. Even though NMU did have some situations where they could have capitalized better, MTU was able to come back from that, which was really surprising given that how far down we were.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting there to see from the side of Michigan Tech. I was a little bit worried with those overextensions that we saw around the 15-minute mark, 60-minute mark, right after our ADC and support had rotated up, swapped with Sunless. Because we did really get caught out there, but it was just a really good rotate in from Nug to also give us the ability to capitalize kind of on the fact that Kraft got one right before he died, and then it kind of just steamrolled from there. Like,
Yeah.
they kind of all got sent back to their base, and they can't even really escape their base because our Hui and Trundle are pushing up, taking out that tier 3 bot lane turret, kind of keeping Marquette contained inside of their base. And then when all 5 of us rotate in, well, we already have Drake buffs, we have Boots buff, we have the level advantages because they haven't been able to farm, and it's just like, a steamrolling. They're
Exactly.
trapped, can't really go anywhere, stuff like that. So we
And
will
then
be.
I feel like once we took that first turret, it was all over. They started crumbling fast, and we started pushing up even faster.
Yeah. So nice little 2-0 for us there. We will be going to a short intermission for you guys while we get ready for our player interview, and then we'll have that for you guys, and we'll be back right at the end to just wrap things up for one final time. So give us a couple minutes while we get all that stuff situated. All right, thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. With me, we have Music Tabs, everybody's favorite Mordekaiser player, with us for the little post-game interview. So just starting off, I just wanted to talk about, you guys are now on a 4-game win streak. You've only lost to OSU throughout the entire season so far. How does that feel, considering that you guys only have one more game in round robin before playoffs?
Pretty good. We're hoping to carry into a 5-game. This team that we just played beat the team that we're going to in the next match, so we're hoping to just continue, follow the pattern.
Yeah, a streak of dominance coming up from you guys there. I wanted to talk about your guys' team comp first map. It kind of felt like, get your thoughts behind what you were kind of trying to build into, because you had that like early game with Pantheon and Wukong, but you also had that late game with Azir after his changes, as well as Corki. What was like your overall intent, I guess, behind what you were picking into on that first map?
So we saw the Kale pick B1. This is a very unsafe pick, so I just insta-locked Pantheon. They ended up swapping her mid lane, but we had 2 divers in Wukong Pantheon. That should be enough to one-shot the Kale and Kaisa,
Yeah.
while the rest of our team can deal with the tanks. Just because, we saw that they have 2 hyper carries. If we can just one-shot them, they've lost the fight.
Yeah, just especially earlier on when you're just like you're just so much higher level than them with your, was it jungle, and you were playing the Pantheon, so top lane, jungle and top lane. So and then also on that topic, it was you versus Sion. How did you feel? Because like we get into the server and I'm like, okay, this guy's picking Sion. I don't know who that is. I'm just looking at like the wiki with like information about this guy, and Ben's giving me little tidbits, and then I see his name is like Sion something rar. Like, oh, I'm a little bit worried. And then he just dives you while you're like a level ahead of him, like super early on, gets his head taken off, and just can't do anything for the entirety of the game. Like, what was your, like, I guess when like with Sion being there, how did you like approach, like, what is your thought process behind like how you're going to approach playing against this guy?
So I looked at his buy. I hit tab and I saw that he bought Cull first. This is generally a playstyle on Sion where you die a lot because he has a passive that really reduces his death timer. So you can still die and have an advantage because you still farm more minions than the opponent.
Yeah.
So I just knew I had to kill him, leave. I can't overstay because if I do, he's going to TP back and I don't have TP and I just lose.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because you only got caught out, I think, once, right? I think it was like you like Sion and their jungler killed you, like tower dived you once, I think, and then every other time other than that, you were doing a really good job of playing behind tower, getting out, especially with Brandon also doing a good job of rotating and making it a 2v2 stuff like that. Even when, because their Sion swapped bot lane, which I don't know is like a
It is
normal play.
It's a pro
but
play thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So but even then, I just wanted to commend you doing a really good job managing to like get out stuff like that. And also on this topic of doing a good job, you were our map 1 MVP, partially because you did have that quadra kill on Pantheon in that first like really big, or first or second really big team fight. I just want to know like what's going through your head, but also like the team comms as that's happening. Like is your team doing well that's enabling you to just be able to totally farm them like that?
To be honest, I didn't even notice I really had a quad. I was just, shot calling, just go on this person and kill them, go on this person and kill them.
Yeah.
The Pantheon is pretty good at training together kills, especially with just spamming Q. It's on no cooldown.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really good to see. I think we pulled up the scoreboard like a couple minutes in the game, and you're 7-2, and it's like, okay, like this isn't an uncommon sight, which speaks volumes to how good you're doing. Speaking of that again, what made you pick into the Mordekaiser again on map 2?
When we scouted them, we saw that they played Fiora, Camille, and Riven, and they already played their Kale.
Yeah.
So we knew that they're probably gonna pick Camille. So I just looked up Camille counters, Mordekaiser right there, so just locked it in instantly.
Yeah, especially because you guys kept banning Riven as well.
Yeah.
And then just to end it off here, anybody else you want to thank? Anything you want to talk about that you feel like helped with your preparation for today's match? Just final thoughts, I guess.
I guess, shout out for Kent, took the time to make a second scout sheet to, because they have so many players, they've played like 2 different teams. So he scouted both of them, so shout out to him.
Oh yeah, putting in the hours there. That's the behind the scenes we don't often see a lot about. So I guess I'm going to say thank you for joining us. It was an honor again to be able to cast your guys' matches, be able to see your dominance, get your 4th win in a row here, 5th of the season. For all those watching at home, just once again, thank you for joining us on stream as well. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Pepsi, Houghton for Rent, University Images, for giving us the opportunity to make all of this possible for our Michigan Tech Huskies. Just a quick reminder for you guys of the schedule for next week, or for the next coming days. Tuesday, our Rocket League team is going to be taking on the Rochester University of Technology, so make sure to tune in for that tomorrow night. Wednesday, Overwatch 2 will be taking on the University of Cincinnati, and then finally, your very favorite Valorant team with MTU Super Electronic IGLing will be taking on what am I looking at here? The University of Toronto, Mississauga. So should be hopefully a pretty good game for us. I do believe they are pretty heavily ahead of us rank wise, but we'll try to give you something worth watching. So thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure to keep in touch with everything that the Huskies are doing. Drop a comment below this. If you're on Twitch, write it in the chat. Who was your favorite? Who was your map 2 MVP? Stuff like that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitch. And thank you guys for tuning in. I've been Aiden. This is Music Tabs. I was casting with Danny. And thank you and have a good night.